Good morning to you. This is World Cup Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling, and Gabby Bonlahor. All right.
What have you done, Jeff?
Stop it.
What have you done?
Because I suggested that Julio Arca had a twinge of a Geordie accent. And everybody in Sunderland's battering me now. He played more for the Borough than Sunderland, by the way. More for the Borough than Sunderland. He ain't got a Borough accent, I have to be honest with that.
Haven't got any gigs in Sunderland coming up, have you, Jeff?
I love Sunderland. I love it. So, yes.
They'll forgive you.
And by the way, we're talking about Elephant and Castle, and I said there's no castle and no elephants. And Stan in Burnley says Elephant Castle is named after the badge of the local knife makers. Ooh, I'm not sure that's a good thing in this day and age.
Cheers.
Castle for strength and elephant for the ivory handles. Headlines Tuesday morning, final against Portugal boss. Roberto Martinez defended his side's performance, labelling it their best. I have to read this twice. Their best of the tournament. You think he'd get a job back in England, Martinez?
Oof. I doubt it.
No, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There was talk about Celtic, wasn't there? Last season, maybe.
Yeah.
But obviously, Martin O'Neill's carrying on.
Yeah. Mauricio Pochettino furious with his side's performance. As the USA were thrashed 4-1 by Belgium in Seattle, he said his side completely failed to turn up. More on those games. Check out the World Cup Daily podcast. Now, FIFA President Gianni Infantino is facing a massive integrity crisis. Sure, he doesn't see it that way. After Folarin Balogun's World Cup suspension was overturned after personal intervention from the US president. UEFA have accused FIFA of crossing a red line in making an incomprehensible and unjustifiable decision to overturn Balogun's ban. For more on this, let's bring in talkSPORT's Max Scott. Morning, Max.
Morning, Jeff. Yeah, the chorus of voices calling for Infantino to resign is growing. You, of course, were incredibly strong, and I must say I completely agree with your assessment of it yesterday. And interestingly, I asked AI who are the most notable people in the world that have called for Infantino to resign, just to get a bit of a flavour, make sure I've got everyone. Number one on that list, talkSPORT host Jeff Stelling.
Oh, really? Oh, whoa.
So, Jeff, you're leading the charge for Infantino to resign. Of course, this is after Donald Trump himself admitted in broad daylight that he personally requested for the Balogun ban to be looked into. Here's how it sounded.
All I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. And, again, I'm good at this stuff. I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was two great athletes that crashed into each other and got entangled. That was not a guy punching somebody in the face. How would you feel if I took, we take Messi out? Look, he ran into somebody. Or we took Ronaldo. Ronaldo, you bumped into somebody, we're going to take you out of a game. He's great. Well, Harry Kane, we're going to take you out of the game, Harry, because you happen to hit somebody a little bit harder than you can't do that.
So there is Donald Trump like a bull in a china shop. And in talking about this so brazenly, he's probably not done his mate Gianni Infantino any favours at all. Just another side thing from that clip. He says, I'm good at this. I know a lot about sport. And then a little bit later in the clip says he didn't realise that red cards lead to a one-match ban.
No.
So he clearly doesn't.
Anyone in the face, you know, it wasn't a foul.
I mean,
What are the reactions from Infantino? I wrote this down. After the Trump intervention, he said, I regularly discuss matters related to the World Cup with the president, just as I receive calls from the heads of state, government officials and business executives from all around the world on many different issues. Talk about delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
Of course, Gianni, you're on the phone to world leaders every day, aren't you? God help us.
So this situation has clearly angered not just you, Jeff, but it's angered people all over the world. So the question is, how on earth can Gianni Infantino be deposed? What needs to happen? Well, there are three options, really. The first is that he resigns. Now, as we know, that's not going to happen because people with power like to cling to it. There isn't a chance. He clearly loves seeing himself as this sort of political, sort of mafioso expert, whatever it is. So that's not going to happen. The second thing is that there could be an executive dismissal via the ethics committee. So a FIFA official could lodge a formal complaint. It could be investigated and he could be given a sanction, whether that's a fine, a ban or a lifetime ban. Now, if an independent panel has supposedly decided to induce this Article 27 that no one had ever heard of and reinstate Balogun, that's probably not going to happen. The third is in an election. Now, Gianni Infantino, his tenure comes to an end in 2027. As it stands, he says he wants to stand again and is not challenged whatsoever. There are 211 countries in 211 FIFA countries. To win an election, you need 106. Now, earlier this year, CONMEBOL, who have 10 countries, the Confederation of African Football have 54, and then Asian Football Confederation, all of them unanimously said they would back Infantino. So as it stands, that's 111 votes. He's not going to be challenged.
No.
UEFA, though, do not like Infantino. UEFA and FIFA are the biggest distributor of football, whether it's international football or European. They don't like him. And the fact, by the way, that Sepp Blatter and UEFA are coming across looking like absolute saints in this is absolutely mad. The difficulty is, boys, Infantino has curried favour from lots of smaller nations in extending the World Cup to 48. Nations like Cape Verde, Curacao have so much more money, and that's been a good thing about this. And so unless there is significant pressure, political pressure, which we're beginning to see in the last 24 hours, then it's going to have to take an election and someone in Europe sticking their head above the parapet and garnering support from these other nations that have previously backed him. Interestingly, there are murmurs and rumours that Didier Deschamps is being tipped as the next candidate to challenge Infantino or become FIFA president when he leaves his post as the French national team manager after this. Do you see, Jeff, a realistic avenue and path towards somebody challenging Infantino as FIFA president?
No, I don't. We all know what goes on in terms of, 211 countries and obviously so many already committed to Infantino. Yeah. We all have a pretty good idea why they are committed to Infantino. We're not.
Joe, it's funny though when you see some of the ex-players, like when they're getting gigs off FIFA and Infantino, they don't say a bad word.
Yeah,
they're the ones that can't get a gig off him and the ones that are hammering him on Twitter.
Anyone in particular thinking?
I'm not going to name names, but they know who they are. They can't get a gig, so they're vocal. But the ones that can get gigs and they're getting really good money out there at the World Cup won't say a thing.
I wonder what you're talking about.
Do you remember the days when World Cups were just about football?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a little while now because, the last couple of World Cups haven't been about football, not just about football anyway.
Yeah, it's a sad indictment, isn't it, Jeff?
Corruption.
Such a sad indictment. One of the quotes that made me laugh, I don't like to quote Donald Trump, but when he said, and he had to have had tongue-in-cheek, but I don't think he does irony. He says, I don't like to create controversy. Oh, God. Incredible. Coming up, we turn our attention back to the football last night. Max, thank you very much indeed. Wins for Belgium and Spain mean they face each other in a quarter-final this Friday. Are Spain still the force that we saw win the Euros? We'll discuss that next.